Hey guys, so I'm in the shop, you guys, preparing for Easter today, and I want to make a door hanger for my front door. And so I have this huge wooden tag that I'll be using, and my supplies I'll be using today is going to be one of the Roycycled Decoupage Papers. This is one of the new ones. This is the spring project blocks. I'm so happy I partnered with artist Lexi Grenzer to create this design. She's so super talented. I have a smaller tag. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but I'm pretty sure. And Iron Orchid Designs Harper mold. So we'll be playing with resin today. Hi, my name is Royce Hunt Bell, owner and operator of Roycycled Treasures. Let's get started. So to start our project, you guys, let's start by decoupaging our tag. I was thinking about layering my decoupage. So I want to show you guys a technique that will allow you to layer your decoupage in a way that each layer will stand out on their own. So you guys know that we're going to start off by doing a quick coat of white paint on my tag. So now that my piece is all whitewashed and I have a nice light background, and you guys know I always paint a light background because it's going to make the artwork on my decoupage paper really stand out on my piece. I want to start out with the first layer of the decoupage paper using this side of the project block. Super pretty, right? I'm going to go ahead and just cut this off. I create the project blocks, you guys, so that you guys can have a lot of options on one sheet. And generally, you can interchange any portion of your project blocks to use them on your projects or your home decor pieces. I'm being stingy. So on this piece, I have this little birdie right here, and I have this birdie down here, and I don't want to sacrifice them unnecessarily. So I'm trying to position my paper so that when I trim it, I get to keep them. Looks like I'm going to lose a little bit of his beak, but I think I'm okay with that. And ordinarily I wouldn't trim it this close, but I really want to save those birds. And so I'm going to take my finger, you guys know, and run it along this edge right here. And that's going to let me know exactly where I need to trim. This guy, I can still save his tail. And I'm just going to trim this. I'm actually not going to trim it super close anywhere else except for this little guy that I want to save. And I'll have this entire piece that I can use for another project. So today I'll be using Wise Owl's 1 Hour Enamel to decoupage with. It is my favorite. I'm sure you guys all know that already. And I'll be using the matte formula because you guys probably already know that that is my favorite. I'm going to start on one side and work my way to the other side just like always. I'm going to do a pretty quick decoupage on this project today, but if you are just starting and you want to have more detailed information on how to decoupage, you can find several videos in this playlist that go over step by step how to decoupage. Now this is just going to be the base for my tag. We're actually going to layer another piece of decoupage over the top of this. So let's set this aside and let it dry while we work on our next piece. So this piece is super cute. I have to have this bunny. I have to have him. So I'm going to cut him out, but I'm actually going to cut him out. Like I'm going to fussy cut this bunny, and I want to layer it on top of my paper. And so I don't have to be super perfect, but it's going to be close enough that it'll blend pretty seamlessly into the background of my project. Look at him! He is so stinking cute. I just love him. And even though I've cut out my bunny, you guys, I still have my little chickadees up here and my lamb and my eggs I'll be able to save for another project another day. So now that we're all trimmed, this part of our tag is done. Cheese. And I want to put my bunny on top here. Look at, I put my bird dead center so I don't, But I want this to be the background though. I want my bunny to really be the star of the show on this particular project. So we're gonna lose some of our birdie. Sorry, birdie, sorry. And I think if we do him like to there, that'll be cute, and I'll still have my little birdie there. Maybe I'll pull him down just a little bit. So I have these unspoken rules that I have in my head. Things like, I don't like when my subjects look like away from the piece, like out towards, like that way. I like them better when they look into the piece. And so it doesn't feel right to put him on that side. So I think I'll put him here. We'll still be able to maintain a good portion of our birdie, and I want to keep the majority of his ears because they're super cute. Now, if I were to decoupage this directly over the top of this back design, what will happen is this paper will become transparent and the design from behind would show through. And there are times when I layer that I don't mind when that happens, or I actually want that to happen. But in this case, I really want my rabbit to stand out on his own. So there are two ways that I can address this. One way that I could approach this is I could trace this bunny out onto my surface and then paint any area inside the bunny white to make sure that he has a white background that he's really going to stand off of the surface. Another way that I can do this is I can actually paint the back of my paper white before I lay it on my decoupage. So I'm going to show you guys how I do that. So I have this piece of plastic here, and it's not like saran wrap because saran wrap is not going to hold its shape well enough for this. You really want a piece of like melamine plastic or some kind of plastic that's going to be a little bit more stiff. And I'm going to spritz the surface of my plastic with water, and this water is actually going to allow my tissue to stick to this paper. So I'm going to lay this down face down onto my plastic. Now while he's on here, I can go through and pull out any wrinkles that form on the tissue paper, because it's responding to the moisture is why it's wrinkling. And if I stretch it out beforehand, it will actually lay down wrinkle free on my project piece. So I'm going to take my bowl and I'm going to mix together about a 50-50 mixture of clear coat, I mean a little bit more than that, and white paint. And I'm simply going to paint this over the back of my bunny. And so essentially I'm creating a white background on him before I decoupage him so that he stands apart from my background design. And I'm just going to mix that together and paint this on the back. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge for this. I'm going to go almost to the edge because when I smush it, that's a technical term. When I smush it onto my surface, the product that I'm laying down, you know, will go out to the edges and they'll lay down fine. And if for some reason they don't, it's really easy to take my brush and go under the edge and make sure that it's laying down nicely on my surface. And there is no way I would be able to manipulate this tissue paper if it were not attached to this plastic. And so now I can turn it over and place him on my project piece. And because the plastic is clear, I can see exactly where I want to place him. And I am just going to rub him onto the surface of my piece. And what this does is really allow this piece of art to stand apart from the art in the background, which is really what I wanted for this specific piece. So we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll trim our bunny. Whenever I'm layering my decoupage, one of the things that I found is that, one of the things that you can do to make it look like it's really unified, like it's one piece, is you can go ahead and recoat the entire surface with a single layer of clear coat. So even if I've already applied a clear coat to my background layer, I'm still going to go over my entire piece with another layer of clear coat. And what that does is really unifies the two layers to make them look as if they're just one. And so there we go. So this part of our project is all done. So we're going to set this aside and let it dry while we work on the next piece. For this part of the design, you guys, we're going to make this super cute companion tag to hang off of the larger one. And I wanted to say Happy Spring. How cute is that, right? But I want to decoupage it to match, to kind of match the tag. So we're going to take another piece from the piece that we have left over and just decoupage it on this tag really, really quickly. I wish I could use that right there. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to use this right here. I don't want this to be too busy, so I'm trying to capture the majority of the topography for this piece. And so just super quick, we'll decoupage this, and then we will get on to the business of making our letters. So we'll set this aside and we'll let it dry, and we are going to work with resin. I haven't done anything with resin in a long time, right? So I want to write Happy Spring. I did look into my stash. You guys know that whenever I'm pouring resin, I usually have either an extra mold, or I'll pour extra molds if I have extra resin. And so those go into a bin. And so I went through my bin and I pulled out some letters that I already have that are made. And so I believe we're only going to need an H, a Y, a P, and an I. H-Y-P-I. Right? Yes. In order to spell out Happy Spring. And so we're going to get those poured. Whenever I'm using the Harper mold, this mold can be a little bit difficult because the wells are so small, and so I love using my silicone cup whenever I'm using this particular mold. I use this all the time, but like literally it's a lifesaver when it comes to pouring the Harper mold. And I'm going to be using amazing casting resin to create my molds for my project today. When you're using resin, you guys, you'll have two parts, part A and part B. And I think that's why it feels scary. But I promise, if you just use it a few times, it won't be scary anymore. And you can make some fabulous molds for your home decor and craft projects. So I'm going to mix both of mine in one cup. I've actually used a pen to mark my lines because they make these cups with just little raised marks. Like, who can see that? I can't see that. So I cheat. I've already marked them with a black marker. And I'm actually only going to pour 20 mils for this project because I know I'm not going to need a lot because I'm only doing 4 letters. And so what I'm going to do is pour 10 mils, and then I'm going to pour, you know, another 10 mils to make up the total 20. But if you're more comfortable doing them in separate cups and then mixing them, that's an option as well. So we needed an I, an H, a Y. Sometimes when you're using decoupage as a background, the image can be almost too loud. And so there's a trick that you can use to push your image back even further into the background, and that's whitewashing. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to take a little bit of paint. Really important thing is that my paper is already sealed. Really important piece. So I'm gonna spray it just with a little bit of water, and I'm actually gonna put on some white paint. Just a super thin coat of white paint, and I'm gonna blot that off a little bit. And this is a really cool way that you can kind of push your design to the back a little bit, but you can still see it. So now that I have my letters, you guys, they came out so cute. I painted them green. The color that I chose was Wise Owl's Cypress Green is what I used to paint these. And so now we're just gonna glue them on to this top part of our tag. So to glue these on, I'll be using Titebond's Quick and Thick glue. And like super easy, we're just gonna glue them on. But let me do like a dry fit and make sure that everything is gonna fit on here. I eyeballed it. How come the S is so much small? I guess the P is supposed to be like that. Happy Spring. Okay. You guys will notice that I'm putting glue over the entire surface, but I'm only putting like a little bit. I don't want a ton. Super cute. What do you guys think? Happy Spring, how cute is that? So we're gonna let this dry and then we're gonna put our project all together. Isn't that gonna be so cute, you guys? And so I think that, I think if I string it on here and let it hang, like I don't have any control over where it hangs, right? It can cover up my birdie, it can cover up something. So I think I'm gonna glue it like right here so that it'll look like it's hanging off of the top, and then that way I know exactly how it's gonna sit on my piece. And so I have my E6000 glue, you guys. I'm gonna use this on this because this is a big, like kind of heavy piece, and I want to make sure that once I adhere it that it's not gonna move. So I'm gonna be using my E6000 on the back of here, and I'm just gonna hopefully make a zigzag pattern. We'll see. This glue is pretty thick. Well, my tube is pretty old. It's part of the problem, but I love this glue because it works really good. And I probably could have hot glued it too. That may have been easier. But we've already started now. I gotta finish. I gotta finish. And there we go, you guys. It is all done. Isn't it so cute? Like, I love that. So we're gonna let this dry, and then I'll hang it up and show you guys how it looks. And it's so cute. I just love this bunny. And you guys will see that after it dried, you really don't see much of the background coming through the bunny, and it's because we took the time to really make sure that that was white behind him, so that he still stands separate from the background. So that is it for this piece, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this project. If you guys are looking for craft supplies, there's a link below. You can find them at roycycled.com. If you're looking for retailers who carry the Roycycled Decoupage Paper, you guys can find them on my website at roycycled.com as well. If you guys would like to get alerts whenever we upload new videos, be sure to hit the bell and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. You guys can absolutely do anything that you saw me do here today. You guys, you can do this, and you can do it today. Thank you.